Welcome to Run the Clock with Jermaine and Tanesha.
Hello, welcome to Run the Clock, where we talk about the latest in sports news. My name is Tanesha.
And I'm Jermaine.
And today we're going to be talking about the Clippers collapse, what to do with the Rockets roster.
Right.
NBA trash talk gone too far.
Mm.
And is Danuel house playing house with somebody other than his wife?
Uh-oh.
So let's get started.
Run the clock! Alright, so we're going to talk about the Clippers collapse. It was really crazy. What do you think about that, Tanesha?
Sorry, I choked. Oh my God, talk about an epic collapse. Talk about an ultimate choke job. And of course, I'm a Lakers fan, as you can see, so it just did my heart so good to see them go down like that. Let me tell you guys something. Always remember this. The Clippers are gonna clip. Okay? The Clippers are gonna clip. You might say, Tanesha, what does that mean? That means they will always figure out a way to mess it up. It doesn't matter if they have Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, Coach Doc Rivers, Kawhi. They're always gonna mess it up. There are only 3 franchises that have never ever been to the conference finals. Not been there and lost, like just never been. Clippers are one.
Wow.
The Hornets and the Pelicans. So talk about an epic collapse. They're terrible. They've never been there in 50 years of their existence. And everybody thought this was the time they were going to do it, and they didn't. They're so arrogant and prideful, and so I think that's why people took so much joy in them collapsing the way they did.
Wow. I mean, the collapse, I got to talk about my guy, Doc Rivers. I mean, he was our coach when we won it in 2008 with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Rajon Rondo, of course, Ray Allen. We ain't going to talk about him, but it's like, man, why does this keep happening to Doc? Like this is the 3rd team he went. He lost 3 in a row when it was up 3-1. So I'm like, okay, is this a pattern that's happening with Doc Rivers? Is he just like taking his foot off the gas? Like, is he not pushing his guys hard enough for that last 3 games or whatever? He's like, well, I got this in the bag. Not really sure what's going on with Doc when it's coming to this, but they're saying he might get fired over this. I don't want him to get fired over this. I think he should get one more chance, at least one more shot with his guys.
You know what it shows, though?
What does it show?
He has the inability to make adjustments. Because this has happened to him 3 times where, like you said, he's been up 3-1. All you gotta do is win one more game and you lose 3 in a row.
Well, you figure if you won 3 games, then you don't need to make any adjustments. I think that's his ideology. It's like, I won 3 times doing it this way. Why should I adjust? They need to adjust to me. And I mean, it's the players he has. I mean, I think it happened with him with
T-Mac.
With T-Mac, he didn't have any help, so I'm not gonna say that. But Blake Griffin and Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan, those guys, they were always kind of had this locker room tension that no one ever wanted to talk about. Chris Paul, he was kind of hard to play with sometimes. So, yeah, I can see that happening. But with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, I mean, you move the world to get Paul George to the Clippers. Kawhi Leonard can pretty much demand 50% of the NBA to go to the Clippers. He would have got it last summer. I'm like,
yeah. I think Paul George forgot how to play basketball. So that might be one issue.
Paul George, man,
wow.
I mean, I'm starting to think he really has fell off, like, because I mean, he had a shot with Melo and Russell Westbrook that he didn't take advantage of. He lost, and Damian sent him home, and then before that, you know, Indiana, of course, you know, he was pretty good in Indiana, but couldn't get it done. Then he goes to Los Angeles, and you know, I mean, in the blink of an eye, no one even said anything about how he left, and loses again. So epic collapse for sure.
Moral of the story is Kawhi made the wrong decision.
Correct.
Speaking of collapses, another team that had another playoff failure was Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and the Rockets. So let's talk about what to do with this roster.
Run the clock! Yeah. Now, this is really interesting. You got Russell Westbrook and you got James Harden. And these are two former MVPs. We're not talking about just two All-Stars. We're not talking about two great role players. We're talking about two former MVPs. So I'm like, okay, so what's the real deal? They have this experiment with small ball. My guy calls it midget ball. Shout out to Allen. But it's like, yo, you took the center out of your team formula, out of the offense. You want to create more space on both of the blocks. You want to get rid of the big man. You don't really have a stretch 4 or 5. So, okay, go with somebody like P.J. Tucker. Well, what's he, 6'6", 6'7"? Yeah. Tallest guy on the court. So, what you're trying to do is trying to open up the lane so that both James Harden and Russell Westbrook can attack, slash to the bucket without any impediment, or still take that 3-point shot if they're on the perimeter. They don't really take twos. Like, that's forbidden in D'Antoni's former offense because he's gone now, because he said he didn't want to be there anymore. So what's going to have to happen is, at this point, since that experiment didn't work, you're going to have to get either rid of James Harden or Russell Westbrook. I hate to say, Russell Westbrook just don't fit with James Harden. And it might be an indictment on James Harden because this is like the third superstar. It hasn't worked for him. And ironically, same thing for Russ. Now there's rumors about Russell going to New York. They're going to make a push for him. We'll have to see because this just isn't working. You got to get a big man that can run. You got to get a superstar that can work for James Harden. So I say blow it up.
Okay. So I think that they should run it back. So I like what they're doing. I like that they're thinking outside of the box. Mm-hmm. But so definitely want to keep James, want to keep Russell. But I think they need to get better shooters, like some really dead eye shooters. They're dependent on P.J. Tucker.
He can shoot.
And Eric Gordon.
Who can shoot?
Danuel House.
I think Daniel was pretty good before he went after that tail.
They're good players.
I'm just saying.
They're good players, don't get me wrong, but you can see the same thing happens to them every time in the playoffs. They're clanking them. They get tight and they're clanking them. So I would go after, since they're so good at analytics and that's their big thing in Houston, I would bring up the top 3-point percentage shooters from 2020 and I'm going after them. It's, ironically enough, you would think it'd be Steph, but it's actually Steph's brother, Seth. He was the top. He's the top 3-point percentage shooter. So I don't know if his contract is up. I'm getting him. Cal Korver, Duncan Robinson. I don't know if he's available.
He plays for Miami. They're gonna tie him up.
Yeah, but I'm looking at that list and I'm going after some true dead eye shooters, and that way we're not dependent on the likes of P.J. Tucker and Eric Gordon and Danuel House for your season.
Jay Crowder has been playing really well.
You got to get some knockdown shooters, man. That way, when people come in to help on James and Russ, you have people that are going to make them pay. And right now, it's hit or miss with the guys they have. So I like what they're doing. I think they should just run it back one more time and try it and see how it works. So I think they should keep it together.
Like I said, man, I don't think they need to keep this together. There's something going on with James Harden. Let's just keep it real. Like, I don't think he can win.
He sulks. I think he sulks. See, if he misses a couple shots, then he's just like, well.
I think his style, his game can't win. I don't know. So maybe if he links up with LeBron, he'll be straight.
Oh Lord.
All right.
Everybody my train.
So for our third quarter topic, we got NBA trash talks goes bad. So there's a lot to talk about, to unwrap about this. You got Damian Lillard, you got Patrick Beverley, you got C.J. McCollum, who you got Marcus Morris, who was even involved a little bit. So let's see how that feels. Run the clock.
What happened was basically this all started with Dame Lillard. And the Clippers, they played in one of the regular season games, and Dame was killing the Clippers. So he looks over to Patrick Beverley, who wasn't in the game at that time, and says, "I want you out here. I want you to guard me." Mm-hmm. So I guess Patrick Beverley took offense to that, and did. So at the end of the game, so mind you, the Blazers needed to win this game to get into the playoffs. So Dame clanks 2 key free throws. And Patrick Beverly, of course, since he called him out, Patrick Beverly was on the sideline dying. Laughing, like
dying.
Like it was so funny.
I mean, like it was Dave Chappelle mixed with Eddie Murphy with, I mean, everybody. Steve Harvey, all mixed in one. Like he just like, I mean, dang, brother, like was you at a comedy show? But continue, baby, continue.
Yeah, so he thought it was so funny that Dame missed these 2 free throws. So of course Dame feels the type of way, and so this goes off the court now, and it becomes a Twitter beef almost.
Yes, it was.
And so
definitely Twitter beef.
So Dame so they were like, ha ha, bye bye Dame, and they were saying that on Twitter, and because they didn't think the Blazers was gonna make the playoffs. So Dame in turn tells them to stop switching teams because Dame's been on the same team forever.
He technically said, Dame, time.
Yeah, so Dame's like, why don't y'all stop switching teams? You know, I'm with the grind. I've been sticking with my team. Like, leave me alone.
Right.
So it was over. But like we talked about in the first topic, once the Clippers choked and they got kicked out the playoffs, Dame thought that was funny, so he brought it back up and said, you know what, I haven't booked my tickets for vacation yet, so do y'all want to join?
Cancun.
Yeah, so I love it. I love the back and forth. You know, players always are so politically correct, and we're just going to play better, and we need to. So it's cool when we get to see how they really feel. So yeah, I enjoyed it, but I do think they should leave it to basketball. Dame's sister tried to take up for him, and he... What did she say? Oh yeah, she said
his baby mama was a stripper,
which is true, but she shouldn't have said that. Yeah, she shouldn't have said that. So I thought that was too far, but other than that, I enjoyed it.
I mean, if you marry a stripper, if she turn her life around and she want to be a housewife, hey, you never know. You may turn a O into a housewife. You know what I'm saying? However that may go. But the thing is, that ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? I love my wife, so. I'm just saying, you know, the whole Cancun tweet that Dame had on them was because, you know, Patrick Beverly he tweeted 1, 2, 3 Cancun, like when they was playing. Was that the first round? Was that
that's
the
when
Lakers?
They got kicked out. Yeah,
the Lakers. And, you know, Paul George was like, yeah, you the one that's going to get sent home this year. You know what I'm saying? So Paul George is saying all this. Yet he ain't in a good space when he playing the team before, and then all of a sudden.
I think that had something to do with it. I think when his sister called him out and said that's why your baby mama is a stripper, he started playing terrible after that. If you remember.
Well, he used to date Doc Rivers' daughter.
Yeah, that too.
Seth Curry is now married to Doc Rivers' daughter.
And they played in the first round. They played each other.
They played each other in the first round. Paul George is playing on the same team as Doc Rivers.
Yeah, it's real messy.
Who's playing against his son-in-law. You know what I'm saying?
It was a lot.
And all this is going on at the same time. It was bananas. And Seth was getting at him on the court. Seth, he was sticking up for his wife. He was like, man, yeah, I'm gonna show my wife I love her. And he was just little young Seth. Sit down somewhere, bro.
The moral of this story is if you can't dish it out,
don't say it.
Yeah, don't say it. I know I can't, and so when we play, I'm gonna talk to him because I know I can't take it back. So.
Right.
All right. So in this topic, we're gonna talk about Danuel House. As you know, he actually got dismissed from the bubble because it was found out that he allegedly had one of the COVID-19 testers, which was a woman, came to his room. So the NBA found out about that, and they actually kicked him out the bubble. So we're going to talk about, is there more to this story, and is there a conspiracy?
Run the clock! So, the Danuel House conspiracy. Now, this is bananas. You know, you got this young kid, emerging star role player on the Houston Rockets, and he contributes around 15 points a game to their rotation, if I'm not incorrect. So he, you know, links up with one of the COVID testers. She clearly was something he couldn't resist. So then he goes up to his room with her, reportedly. Allegedly, you know, they were in the room 4 to 5 hours, I believe. So they were doing a lot in that in a 4 or 5 hour window, clearly. And they knew he was in there for 4 or 5 hours with this because somehow they can track
when they open the door.
When you open the door, when you go in your room, and when you leave, how long you've been out your room and how long you've been in. It's crazy. I didn't even know they had that kind of technology. But there's something about it that just don't sit right. Something is fishy about it. Ever since this happened and that young man got kicked out, you know, the energy around the team was just really weird. Really weird. James Harden, his body language changed completely. Russ just started like you said, I was out there running around. Like it was almost like they were there but weren't there. Because they knew something that we didn't know. And I kind of feel like he took the fall. This is just how I feel. I feel like Danuel House took the fall for either Russell Westbrook or James Harden. Now, Russell Westbrook is married. He has, you know, a couple of young ones.
3.
So, the 3 ones.
3 kids.
I don't feel like it was Russ. But if you look at James Harden's track record, he's the party dude. He want to always be out. He want to fly. You know, so he couldn't get any of that in the bubble. So I guess he just kind of pulled his star power on this young lady. Maybe he was like, hey, listen, you know, yo, Danuel, if you do this for me, I'll drop you some bread, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to need to use your room, you know what I'm saying? And he gets caught, and they was like, yo, man, you know, I can't get kicked out. This is gonna look crazy for the Rockets if Russell or James gets kicked out. Listen, Danuel, you're gonna have to take the fall for us, bro. I'm gonna kick you some ducats and make sure your wife make it look real, cause she was going overboard. You know what I'm saying? What you think about that? I mean,
okay. So the reason you're saying that is because, of course, they talked to the young lady, and she said that she had contact with Tyson Chandler, which also got kicked out, and another player, but she said it was not Danuel House. So that's why we think that something's up. And Danuel House also said it was not him, but they just moved it over the rug and kicked them on out. So I think that's fishy. However, so I think who is that other person? Why haven't we heard about it? But I don't think that he would have taken the fall for another guy. Like, I'm thinking if I'm at work and somebody says, hey, Tanesha, Sally was with Jim. We need Sally to stay here, so you take the fall. So I'm going to get a divorce and risk my family.
I don't think he's getting a divorce.
Sally. Like, I wouldn't do that.
I think the divorce is fake. I think they're not getting divorced. I think it was all this is all a spin. That's what I think. I'm
saying it, but I wouldn't risk that for basketball. Like,
for about 6,
if it was something a smaller
10 million,
a smaller crime, like maybe I went and got some DoorDash. Okay, I'll take the fall for James Harden for that, but not adultery.
Smashing a COVID.
Yeah, that's a bit much. So I believe the story. I'm gonna have to say I believe it. Thank you guys for joining, and remember to like, comment, and what we really need is for you guys to subscribe. That way you know when we release the next video. See you next time.
Holla at us!
Run the clock. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.